And guys, welcome to IFBB Bro Chat, the brand new podcast. Alex Connors, Mike Hulusi here. We're excited to bring you something we've been working on for a little while, just trying to obviously bring some commentary to Australian bodybuilding, I think is what we want to deliver the most. So welcome, first of all, our first ever episode. Alex. So obviously what we want to deliver first of all with this podcast, guys, is we want to give you all things bodybuilding because bodybuilding is it's essential to my life, it's essential to Alex's life, I know as well. We're both IFBB pros, a classic pro being Alex and an open pro myself. And because we live and breathe it, we know that there's a lot out there who do as well. We constantly see a lot of US podcasts surrounding, the bodybuilding scene, and we feel like we get to know a lot of those bodybuilders over there. But it's like we don't really have that here. We don't really have people here who are bringing up Aussie bodybuilding, exposing our amateurs, really good fucking amateurs, exposing our pros, really good fucking pros, and discussing from our narrative, from our own backyard, all things training, nutrition, PEDs, supplements. We want to keep this real. We want to keep it raw. We want to keep it honest, respectfully, but be honest as well. And we also want to cover, pro shows. So what shows are happening around the world, who's competing, what does it mean for Olympia standings and all this kind of thing, what sort of, I suppose little riffs and raffs and feuds are going on in the bodybuilding world. So give our commentary and give our analysis of those. We want to have a lot of guests on the show to also help with the analysis of the pro shows, and then coverage of Australian shows. So our amateurs, our amateur and pro qualifiers, and give you guys, like I said, just let you guys know who's competing, where they come from, and build some hype around our seasons. Because let's face it, last season in season B last year, it was huge. Like, we had shows with 600 crossover competitors. Like, it's we sold out venues around the country. I think Tony and the IFBB Pro League have done an amazing job to bring it back from COVID. Obviously, a bit tough times there. And the shows are exciting now. New sponsors on board and great competitors coming through. So again, the more light we can shine on them, I think we'll all be better for it as well. So first of all, obviously don't want to talk too much. Alex, professional for a number of years now as well. I remember you turning pro back in 2019.
2019.
So look, tell us a bit about yourself, your history, obviously, and who is Alex?
So obviously, I'm an active IFBB pro in the classic physique division. I'm also a physique coach. That pretty well takes up the rest of my time. I've been competing now for probably 10 years, training for roughly 15 or more. And as I said, competing for that time, roughly 10 years, I would say now. I turned pro at the Amateur Olympia in Las Vegas in 2019, where I traveled over with a group of Australians, yourself included. That was an excellent experience. And obviously, as I said, where I turned pro, myself, leading into this year, along with yourself, we've got a number of shows coming up in, you must be end of July.
10th of July.
And I'll be kicking off my season as of, I think it's the 3rd of August. So about 17, 18 weeks from now, with Tampa, followed by Texas, and then Mississippi. Depending on how that run goes this year, we will potentially do another show towards the end of the year. But as I said, initially the goal is to get ourselves back on stage with what I'd like to think is a considerably improved package from my last run over in Europe, which was maybe just over, almost 18 months now, I would say, since I last got on stage. So
exciting.
That's me.
A funny story. I remember when we were traveling over to the Amateur Olympia in Las Vegas.
There's a few funny stories here.
But I remember we pulled up to the I think at that stage, for me, I just came from a bad coaching experience, and I actually hopped on board with Dean at that time. You talked into helping me out for the final 2 weeks because I was a mess. But me, I'm obviously like, we all are every, measure every gram. We're fucking very measured in our approach and direct. But I was like extra. I've always been extra on pretty much everything. And we pulled up to the airport, caught a limo, if you remember, to the airport, limousine. I was surprised us had a limo pick us up to from Gold Coast to Brisbane, pulled up to the fucking airport, and flight cancelled. And I fucking just gone.
Yeah. Not delayed, just fucking cancelled.
Yeah, no, yeah. There's a flight tomorrow, just no, sorry, it's not going ahead. Luckily, we were able to, pull some funds together and book the next flight together. But we went and chilled for a little while, and I had no food. I wasn't prepared for this phase, and Alex is showing me through Coles. Hey, we get the rice cake, then we get some cold meat from the deli, and then we put the cold meat on the rice cake, and then we just put this food together as of Dean's instructions.
That's right. That was the first time you'd ever really flexibly
and I was just like freaking out, thinking, I don't want to eat a thing because it's not on my plan, and it's not. This is totally generic, but I mean that this happens when you travel, and for a lot of the amateurs, I suppose, or new pros even who are obviously now starting to travel this year and looking to take the leap overseas. It's like this shit fucking happens, man. You get flights get cancelled. You got to spend nights in airports or days in shopping centers, and we were lucky enough to have daytime, so we could actually go to Coles and and in Australia, so we knew sort of our surroundings, but it still throws you off, And when you're a week out from competition, like that shit sort of plays with your head. So, yeah, I think I freaked out so much. We went across the shopping center, and T and I got our septums pierced, right? Just to fucking off the blue to fucking do something. And mine's still in. I just never ever pull it out, but it's still in there.
I didn't think you still had it. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
but yeah, it just really highlights when, as much as we all are creatures of habit, and we're always preaching that you need to be prepared and this and that, I think it just highlights that you have to be able to be flexible with your approach as well. And there's often going to be times where you are going to be caught with your pants down, and if you're unable to adapt, to those circumstances, then you're really just not going to be able to cut it
you have to be resourceful, because when you're stressed in situations, you just raise cortisol and then everything goes to shit. So it's like, I think that, and look, you get better. I think the more times you do, obviously you get better. It's like, the first time we fucking winged it, and the second time I'm like, this is easy now. Like, we know what to do. So obviously with experience, I was just smiling because David sent me a couple from the back. My photos, I'm like, from the front, man. Fuck. But that looks a little funny story, and just shows sort of how far we go back anyway as well. I remember on that trip, Alex was stressing. I wasn't in contention for a pro card at that stage. I had a bad experience coming in, but mom was just helping. I committed to the show. We had the flights booked, so we took my wife over. Obviously, traveled with Alex and met a bunch of and we went for the experience. But I remember going over thinking Alex just looked like this Greek god. I'm like, man, you've got this. He's and he was stressing, obviously. I remember us lying in the bed. I think one more story. Alex was half naked. I was half naked. I had the massage gun, massaging his cramps out from his legs and shit. Anyway, we got photos somewhere.
Yeah, that was just after the flights. Remember, my back had locked up on me.
Well, if we remember when we got on the flight, the drama there, but we'll leave that for another time.
No. That's for another podcast.
Xanax and then... Anyway, man, look, thanks for sharing. Obviously, Mike Hulusi here, IFBB Pro. I'm an Open Pro. Alex is a Classic Pro. Competing history, I started competing back in 2014, so this is just about my 10th year now. Since training at all, I basically walked into the gym heavily overweight, 140 kilos. Just wanted to lose weight. I lost 60 kilos almost over 6 months, and then sort of yo-yoed, needed the goal, so... someone said, why don't you try bodybuilding? I went to contact Scott Goebel. He gave me a bulk. So I went from losing all that weight to putting the weight back on and then come down and competed with INBA in 2014. And the moment I stepped on stage, I haven't looked back. I just loved it. I loved the experience. I love the discipline, love the mindset, and it really suited my lifestyle. And it actually made me a better person in every other aspect of my life, which we'll talk about with bodybuilding and how it translates over to business and relationships, and how we should just take the best of what we practice here over there. But so basically 10 years training now as well. I turned pro just last year. Seems like a long time ago now, but just last year, 2023. And I actually, that was at the Australian Grand Prix Amateur Pro Qualifier, Amateur Grand Prix Pro Qualifier. So our season A in Australia. After being close, probably a couple times, having some difficult decisions in the past, but again, that's bodybuilding. We've got to get over it as well. I then traveled straight away over to New York and did New York Pro, did the California Pro, did the Toronto Pro. So I'm sort of was lucky enough that well, not lucky enough, I suppose. I put myself in a position where I turned pro and I just went over and just jumped in the deep end straight away, and which was really cool. I got 6th in California. I think 9th and 10th came top 10. And once I got to beat some guys who I beat Chun Sul, Chun Sul, that Japanese, but I beat him. It's like, so there was some really cool, I got to pose down next to Sergio Olivier in a second call out.
It was undeniably one of the most conditioned on stage.
Yeah, so I was really proud with what I bought. It actually highlighted a lot for me in terms of what's next. To stand on stage next to those pros, I mean, they are so full. It is next level fullness on stage. And I can see, and we often sit there as, I suppose, amateurs and think, oh, how do they get on stage not conditioned? And it's like, you learn that they're chasing that level of fullness, that it's such a fine line that they do spill sometimes. And that's when they look, oh, he's fat. He's not fat. He just chased it. They pushed a bit hard. And, that's part of that learning curve coming in. And I think that, stand next to the pros, it really taught me that when you're an amateur, once you have a decent amount of muscle, condition wins pretty much 9 times out of 10. Why? Because people don't know how to diet. But when you stand on the pro stage, it's like, well, everyone knows how to diet essentially, but these guys are fucking next level round. So we took. I
think we could probably do a full segment on that, man. I mean, I don't think that's. I think that's something that people don't understand is the level of condition that is brought to a pro level across all divisions. And as you said, man, especially with the open guys, is they are just they're really treading a fine line between being peeled and optimally full as well. Because the harsh reality is, like, at some point, every single person on that stage has won an overall in order to get their pro card. So evidently they can all diet. They can all suffer. They can all get into shape. So when everybody is ultra muscular, ultra peeled, if you're not as full as a house, then you're just not going to stand out on that stage. It's that simple. And unfortunately, as you said, man, like, it's such a fine line. So when you're trying to push the envelope every which way, sometimes something's got to give, and sometimes you're just going to miss the mark. It's
100%. And so it's a lesson that you learn once you stand next to them as well. I think that I was so concerned with, because I'd been called in the past having a blocky waist and blah blah blah, and whatever people want to say is their opinion. That's fine. But I sort of let it become part of my own opinion of myself, if that makes sense. And I was so concerned with, like, having a flat stomach and, like, that I would convince Dean to let me compete fasted, like no food. And like some shows at 2 p.m. I'm like, no, I don't want to eat. He's like, you have to eat something. I don't want to eat because I didn't want that feeling of my stomach. And then obviously see photos. I'm like, oh fuck, Dean, I need to eat. I'm like, I need to fucking be full. So we took some time off and we're heading over, as we mentioned before. July 20th is my first show, which is the Chicago Pro.
How many shows?
So I got 3. Yeah, so Chicago Pro.
You got 3.
And 2 weeks later is the Tampa with yourself. And then there's Texas as well. And that's where we'll probably call it out. I wanted to do Texas. Mississippi's, I think, a classic only show that must not be an open show at the Mississippi.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's just an amateur show.
Classic. So we wanted to spend some time in Texas afterwards, train with some of the guys out there and just network a little bit as well. That was the plan. It's hard when you have kids, and obviously we're going away for 4 weeks, 5 weeks just competing. Then we want to spend some time doing the business side of pro bodybuilding, which is networking and mixing and collaborating. And we're fucking 20 hours away. It's like we have to go over there and mix with these guys. So to then add another week or 2 on top of that, like, it makes it hard from the kids. But I mean, look, it is my job. So it's one of those things where we have to make some sacrifices there and obviously do the best we can. So that's the plan for me anyway, this year. So I'm 16 weeks out. Started dieting for the last 10 days. Feel amazing after force feeding for the past 6 months. Hit 140 kilos, which, I mean, look, guys, we never chase numbers, but, when you're sort of just eating endlessly, if that makes sense. And obviously Dean's eyes are on me every week, so he knows where we're steering the ship. But it's like you have a number in mind, like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to see 140 kilos fasted in the morning, naked on the scales, and we did it. So wasn't comfortable at all. Hated every moment of being that weight. Even now, I sit about 135 now, 5 kilos down, and I'm more comfortable. But even now, it still sucks. I mean, I'm 176 centimeters. I'm fucking not meant to weigh 300 plus pounds. So, but it's, I'm happy with. I know for me that my condition comes in fairly quickly. I go from looking like I'm, out of shape to, oh fuck, I'm not out of shape. So fairly quickly. Yeah. So it's just an arrangement for me, but I'll leave that in the hands of Dean, and we'll get it done. But yeah, man. So that's my 2024, and who knows after that. I mean, we'll keep on pushing. Alex was talking about going to Mexico afterwards, too, and partying for a bit. So I don't know. We'll see if we can.
But I don't know about partying, but definitely.
Oh, just chilling, and a few mocktails, so to speak.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, bro. So I wanted to do a quick review of the Arnold's Ohio in UK. Obviously, look, it's been a little while since the shows are on, but they were the most recent shows.
Yeah.
And man, look, we can just cover the main ones. We don't have to go through the whole lineups at all, type thing. But I mean, look, for me personally, Samson Huddy. I love Samson's physique. I love the way Samson presents himself. We spent time with Samson and Marlenka over in New York. And they were just fucking awesome people. Like, we were really cool, really down to earth, and had all the time in the world for us. So nothing but nice thing to say.
Seems that everybody that speaks does the same thing. He's just a really cool dude.
Yeah, and look, I wanted to see him. I like seeing. Obviously, I like seeing great physiques be great on stage. But sort of it's like when I say that, it doesn't mean that Huddy's not great. Huddy's fucking insane. If you remember the 2019 Olympia, when we watched the Olympia there, he was on stage. We were like, he's the winner. Like, I saw it live in my eyes. We were there. And Brandon won that year. And I was amazed with the way Huddy represented condition, fullness, and a few other things as well. So, it was, and what he brought to the Arnold stage, at least from photos and live stream, whatever I saw, it was just like every which way you wanted Samson to win, you're like, yeah, but he's not going to beat Huddy.
He's not going to. It was, I mean, obviously we both know that, in the flesh, it's always significantly different, in some way, shape or form. But I mean, the level of conditioning that even like if you look at Huddy at the Olympia versus the way he looked at the Arnolds, and both Arnolds for that matter, man, he was just, if he had to come in like that at the Olympia, there would have been absolutely no denying his win, I think.
I think so as well.
He was just so sharp, man. And like, if that was lost in translation on the live stream, then I can only imagine what it looked like in human, in person, it must have been something crazy.
I think that I think Raph looked great as well, at least at Ohio. I think that he didn't surprise me. I like Raph's physique regardless. So I think it's well put together, and I appreciate those nice lines and the symmetry that he brings, and he separates so well from in the quads. It's just like,
but personally, he was actually my favorite physique on stage.
Yeah, again, for me, if you looked at like probably any physique you want to look like, I'd say Raph, because he's just so...
Yeah, I couldn't stop looking at him. I was just like...
He looked great. So and I was most probably surprised by John De La Rosa. I thought that, when John's competed before, like when he brings it, he's always been really super competitive. So it's not like I was like, oh, he's going to fucking be shit. But he hadn't been there in a while.
But have a layoff like that and then come back, man.
Yeah. I think he looks sensational. Obviously, he's just a little bit downsized, but compared to the winners, obviously. But yeah, he was fantastic. Hollingshead for me, I love James's outlook. I love his approach. I love his training style. I love the way he does things, and he's got a lot of muscle in his physique as well. I just think there's certain poses which really let him down, like his front relax and front lat spread. They just like seems to just like he's almost like he's got great arms, but they disappear in those shots, and like something. And then the way his abs wash out from the front.
I think it's also the fact that he hasn't got overly wide clavicles either. Yeah. So he just doesn't. He tends to unfortunately lack that presence in a few of those shots. And it doesn't show how overpowering he actually is, because there's so much muscle there, man. It's so fucking
I think that you get lost in the roundness of the muscle that you see, and the density also on Instagram, because we can see the grain, and it's obviously a great angle that they always post or whatever else. But on stage, like no matter how conditioned you are on stage, sorry, how veiny you are in stage and whatever else. That doesn't come through. What comes through is overall shape and structure, and then separation, which is probably, you know, like, yes, I think so. He sort of, for me, I love his physique, but he just always struggles to mix it with the being in that top contention because of the couple of poor shots and that, you know, poor structures and whatever else. So I think that he's kind of not the guy to really. I think he loves bodybuilding, so I think he'll just keep at it anyway and just keep improving. So you'll see how he goes from there.
What did you think about Akim moving up a couple of spots?
I think, look, Kim from the front could beat everyone. I mean, I think he just looks fucking crazy, even from the side. Yes, his lats insert really high. Not much you can do about that. He hasn't got much low back going on. I heard someone say that it was some nerve issues similar to, like, you know, Rami and a few of the other guys develop. I don't know if that's true. I just think his lats insert really high, which, like, which from like a front lat or front relax looks kind of cool because it's like waist and then fucking lats just pop out. But then when you're posing from the back, it's like you lose a detail and it's like half the shot disappears. So again, he did the same thing at UK. I'm pretty sure, like, you know, came in and got better. So it's like, obviously they just need to try and imagine the prejudgings a night earlier and try and just replicate that process through, because he seems to come in better for finals always than he does for the prejudging. So it might be a stress thing, you know. It might be just stress the fuck out and then relax because it's sort of prejudging is done and that's how they look. You know what I mean?
And you seem to see it time and time again. You know, like I mean, I know for myself, like you know, once you go out and do those first lot of turns, everything else is easy afterwards. So it absolutely makes sense for, you know, a big portion of that to be related to stress.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know, and we both know how much of an impact stress will have on a physique, and it can have that.
I can change
like
it. In literally fucking seconds. You know, like you can just see people melt away or fucking water up just in seconds from. And
it's funny, like you tell this to clients when they're sitting backstage. It's like, just sit down, just chill out, relax, and it's like they think that that we're taking the piss when we say
we're not taking them seriously, whatever else. Like, no, listen.
Yeah. It's like, no, man. We know we've been in this situation before.
I'm like, you got plenty of time.
Me, best thing
chill
to do is relax.
It's like I go to some shows and some clients are like, especially female clients, you know, God love the women, but they stress. But it's like 9 a.m. And it's a fucking packed out men's show. And like, Mike, you know, where do I go? I'm like, listen, you need to go backstage, lie down. Like, you know, we're talking 3 p.m. You're 6 hours away from the stage. You know, go and chill, find a fucking dark corner and sleep. But yeah, look, obviously it's normal nerves backstage, so we can all get like that as well. I thought it was cool how they did the rebattle. I thought Samson looked better again in UK for sure. I think that, you know, for me, I'm close to the Milos, so it you know, in saying that, it's not like I'm not saying obviously picking size type thing, but it's like that whole how that whole I think situation transpired between Ohio to UK. I think it was unfair on Milos. Number one, and the reason why is because, as we know, it's like, imagine you did prep with Dean, and it's like, then, you know, in between in between Tampa and Texas, you're like, you know what, Dean, I'm just gonna, you know, go with my missus because, you know, she's seen me prepping. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like I'd probably just stick the shows out and then like afterwards go, you know what, let's just fucking split. That's what I think. You know, that's what I'll do, and it's just an opinion. You know.
I think you owe your coach to do that, man. You know what I mean? I mean, look, we don't know what happened behind closed doors, and like, it doesn't appear as though there was any major
fallouts or
issue between fallout.
From the way what it sounded was it was because when they went to Tyler, again, this is purely speculation, but hey, it's what we're here for. It's like they went to Tyler for like after prejudging, and he said it was close, you know, fucking very, very close. So, you know, maybe Milos might have suggested something extra for finals, you know, maybe diuretic use, maybe, you know, pushing the envelope somewhere along the lines. And hey, I've popped a fucking, you know, diuretic before as well, done under the right pretenses. You can manage that stuff, you know, relatively without ease. But, you know, it's, if you haven't taken one before, maybe Samson took one, maybe he got, I felt like he got dehydrated and then freaked out, went back to England because he was talking about checking himself in the hospital. He doesn't feel right. Doctor told him just to drink lots of water. So I think he stressed out, maybe made a decision, and then, what the rest transpired from there as well. So that's just speculation, but that's the way it sounded to me. And look, again, I don't know here or there, but I thought that he could have handled a bit better. He did come in better for UK. He was just a bit tighter everywhere, which it probably was going to happen anyway. Do you know what I mean? Home turf as well, probably a bit more relaxed. So he looked better, but I thought Hardy will still win. What would have been cool was to see someone else hop up in the lineup, because we had a couple drop off. To see even like Sass or someone, Sass Hardy, Sass Hardy, seen him jump up into the UK or Sass Hardy. He's like a freak UK bodybuilder, absolute freak. Very good from Jordan Peterson, but normally prepped by Chris Aceto. But look, there's a couple. Obviously, there's that other Dark, the black guy from UK as well, who's like just a beast. He pushed the guys all the way a couple of years ago as well. Anyway, it would have been nice to see a couple other bodybuilders step up and do the UK show, because it just seemed like a small version and kind of fizzled out the excitement for me anyway. Because it's still at Arnold's. Do you know what I mean? It's like Arnold's High was great.
I think what Akim. Let me just hang on. I've got Akim moved up a few spots. He went from sixth up to third. Okay. So that was I thought that was pretty impressive.
100%.
Across the UK. Well, James finished, I think, fifth in both. Is that right? Yeah, fifth in both. And John finished fourth in both. So Akim moved up a couple of spots.
So they just got that balance a little bit better as well, which is nice. But again, if you saw like a couple of new names, it might have just made it a bit more exciting in that middle sort of row type thing. But again, that's just speculation as well. I thought it was all in all, Ohio was great. It was the live stream was awesome to be free. Because it just got so many people involved. And then there's like obviously announcements now with all extra prize money and whatever else, which is sick, because I think the more money obviously behind bodybuilding, the more sponsors and athletes will get involved and have bigger and better shows and all that positive stuff. So I think it's a great move by Arnold. Obviously a lot of speculation about the prize money for men's, and they're not adding extra divisions or having more women's divisions there. I thought that it was probably, those comments were probably expected, but unfair because, like everyone said after, well, it's Arnold's show. Like although it's the same as it's California. At California, there was just men's open bodybuilding. Like there was, there's plenty of shows which are Mississippi, no open bodybuilding. So I think it's Arnold's show, as much as everyone wants to be on the Arnold stage, every division. I'm not saying they're not more or less entitled to. It's his decision, business decision to decide what goes on. Yeah,
that's right. I think that's something that's often overlooked. Is it's still a business, man. And as you said, like it's his business decision. So he's got to see a return on his
put
investment.
Bums on seats and and give the fans what they're essentially wanting. So look, you're never gonna please all parties, but it's just it's part of that process. And exciting to see what Olympia does or how it reacts. And I think that there's a general rise in prize money around the world for all the pro shows, which is it's sick. It's sick because it just means that more people hopefully competing, getting involved, and I'm excited to see where it all goes. That's for sure as well. But props to them for, I suppose, doing their for giving back, because not a lot of people do these days. I thought we might touch on.
Let's not forget Classic there. That was a bit of
Classic. Classic needs more money. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I think it's absolutely.
No. I mean about the Arnold.
Oh, sorry. What's Classic?
Wesley.
What's Classic?
That? Yeah, Wesley knocking out the current reigning runner-up of the Olympia.
Yeah, I mean, look, there was reports that Ramon only did a 6-week prep.
Yeah, I did hear that.
So look, if that's
you got to wonder.
If that's true, I wonder why. Number one, like why you could still an Arnold's.
Why would you do that?
I would just not do the show. I'd just not commit to it. I don't know if there was any health issues or whatever going on. If he just thought he might just waltz in and take the prize. But I'm not a huge fan of Wesley's physique. I don't know why. When I look at it, I think it's the legs for me. They just don't. like, come out.
Yeah, I think he could definitely pose his legs better for sure.
Okay.
But personally, I like his physique. But I think you're dead right as far as the legs are concerned. I'd like to see his legs come up a little bit, especially
Just
from
sweep.
the back side.
Sweep front and back. You know what I mean? It just seems to be lacking.
I mean, nobody's got too big of a sweep,
sure.
so we can all come
Even
up
from
with
the back, like his back there, everyone goes, "Oh, his back's great," compared to Chris's. I'm like, you're not comparing from waist down. Chris dominates him, like glutes, hamstrings. There's no comparison there. And even if back is comparable, let's say, it's like there's no comparison. Chris wins easily. It's just so. I would just let the low. I think that and Dino, it was super close. Obviously, even if he did do a 6-week prep, I like Dino's physique.
Yeah.
I think he needs to pose better. That's for sure. I think his posing still needs to be improved.
But I personally don't think there's talk of people trying to compare both Wesley and obviously Dino to Chris. I honestly believe that title is Chris's until he
comes in dramatically off, which I think he just retired before that happened anyway. Because he's obviously professional and they know how to get it right now. I think that when he poses, he just comes to life and everything just it's like fuck, my favorite bodybuilder. Yeah, my favorite bodybuilder, like for sure. Like just in terms of like him posing on stage, you can't knock him anywhere.
You can't get a better ambassador for the sport, bro. So we're all fucked.
And Chris is like a bit of a phenom. Normally, I talk about this with a few guys, or a few people, apart from being Mr. Olympia. But let's face it, Ronnie Coleman was Mr. Olympia. Some people say that his physique's more attainable. I'm like, maybe, but no one's looking like Chris Bumstead. So even if it seems more attainable, you're not going to look like Chris Bumstead. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of the thing as to why Classic's more popular, because it's maybe more attainable. But it's regardless of whether you know what you're talking about or not, it's you're still not going
I think that's the perception. Yeah, the perception is that it's more
attainable. It's Chris, no controversy at all in his life, really. Apart from him and Courtney breaking up maybe once and come back together, very, very clean outside of life from bodybuilding. So no major controversies there. He's not outspoken or narcissistic or pulling fights with people. Yes, he wins shows. He's slightly awkward on camera, but he just he's so likable and relatable that he's the best thing since Arnold for the sport of bodybuilding. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's weird in this day and age when people are searching for attention so much, because attention is obviously converted to monetary wise. That he can come along, be himself, be really, just genuinely a fucking great guy and achieve so much fame. You know what I mean? It doesn't normally happen.
And I think you just hit the nail on the head there, man. While I see a lot of young guys look up to him, I think they need to look more closely at the way the guy carries himself, more so than even the physique. The thing that's really inspiring to me is, as you said, all of those things is, in a nutshell, he's not a jerk. And that for me, somebody that's at the top of the game, that has probably every excuse to be a little bit narcissistic, a little bit overconfident, a little bit cocky, he's just not. Yeah. And that for me is the big thing that I admire, especially in a world, and sadly, probably a sport where we are very much surrounded by people that are very self-absorbed and very self-entitled.
Sorry, man. Yeah, I was just asking for a charger for the laptop.
Yeah, as I said, it's the way Chris carries himself for me, man. Over and above the physique, the physique's just mental, but the guy behind the physique is just equally as good.
100%. I think that in terms of Wesley being a challenge to him, I still think if Ramon brings his best, he'll probably be the next challenger to Chris. I was really impressed with Breon. I thought that Breon.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I was the same, man. It's so cool to see. He almost left the division, so to see him come back and really stick it to everyone and show that he's still right up there. And man, from the back, if you want to talk about a back, that guy's back's mental.
For sure. For sure.
So
detail,
3D.
detail galore, and it's yeah, it's pretty to watch on the stage. You know, I think that he has improved so much because he was hitting some shots. You know, even when he was Mr. Olympia, and then when he obviously just lost the title, had some shots from the front that which looked not funky, but just like a little bit lacking. But he's just looked like to fill those gaps out. Obviously, the weight cap really helped him, I think, as well. The lift.
I think the legs are still a little bit down. I don't know. Did he have an injury in one of his legs?
There's rumor. I think something about a quad. But look, I could be wrong. But I think I remember hearing something about his legs been injured.
Because it seemed, I can't remember whether it was the Olympia, but I remember looking at it going, "Fuck, he's got one of his quads is like well downsized." And then I think, I mean, you could still see slightly it was downsized on, like, he was slightly off in his symmetry from one side to the other in at the Arnold's, but it seemed to have really come back to life. So whatever they've done, man,
Done a great job.
You know, I don't know what the injury was. Yeah,
For sure. And I think that obviously, you know, Urs looks great. Needs bigger arms. I think just the floated physique. And look, obviously, he's still third in the fucking world. So whatever we say here, it's just like, you know, it's just critiquing what we see in front of us on the stage. I just think his arms can come up a little bit just to match his physique because he has a big frame. And I think it's just time because he's still so young. Do you know what I mean? So it's just funny how people, one bad, not even bad, but one show where you fucking fall back a little bit. And it's like people fucking, retirement, you know, or you passed it or you lost it or you're out of the conversation. It's so funny to me. And it's like, he'll take some time, he'll take another off season, he'll come back bigger and better and, you know, be pushing again. So, the classic division though is fucking stacked. Like, no matter what show you go to, like, there's just so many good competitors. You know, I feel sorry for you, bro. Like, you know, because it's you turn it up and these guys are just like you have never heard of. You're like, oh fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, that was the big thing for me when I was just in Europe. So 18 months ago, as I said, walking backstage and seeing the guys that I was going to get on stage with, I was just like, not only was there over 20 guys in every lineup I was in, but the condition, man, is just absolutely insane. I mean, everyone's got the structure because that's how they're in the division. But the level of condition for me, man, was just like,
as it should be, as well. I mean, a whole lot higher accountable, but like it's crazy when you see it in person.
Yeah, and you know what I'm like, man. Like, I'm always conditioned. So for me to stand backstage and be like, "Fuck, maybe I should have pushed harder."
Yeah.
Like, it was super humbling, man.
I think obviously, you know, again, classic when they have that structure and those lines, like you have, like, you know, I think you got a great rig. It's like when you have that structure and lines, you know, it makes condition look better as well because everything pops and, you know, there's fibers and there's striations and little things that we appreciate, you know, you see more of as well. And in talking about that, like, I think it also, you know, what's been really cool to see is Tyler's recaps of the shows that he's posting. And it's like things that you're looking at, and we might see it more than the average person because we're interested, obviously, more in bodybuilding. But then it's like you're watching him explain something, and then you watch the actual show. You're like, oh fuck, like I see that. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
man, it's like, you know, and then but it's really good to actually see it because you're there thinking, oh, he fucking, you know, that was a shit decision. And you're like, oh, hang on a second. Like, I can see what he's saying from a judge's perspective. Exactly. You know what I mean? So I think that's, top move.
I think it's the best thing they could have done, man, was having him break down the shows like the way he is.
And obviously, look, I've met Tyler. You know, he's so straight down the line with his feedback to you. Like, he comes backstage. Well, the shows that I've been at, all three, but every show he was pretty much there. And like, they called the winner, and instead of, you know, being there taking photos when, you know, the winner's on stage talking, he was backstage giving feedback to every pro as they walked off. Yeah, and it's like fantastic. I mean, it's like bang in his head, fresh. Yep, you need this, you need that, you need this. Even if it did sound a little bit generic, like, you know, telling you, oh yeah, more quads, you know, tighter waist, hold your waist, whatever it's saying. It's like, it's still great, you know, to get to feel like you've been seen and actually, you know, because the worst thing is to hop on stage and feel like you're not looked at all. You know, and obviously, if anyone's competed on a pro stage, and it's that's what that's what it can feel like, especially in those big lineups. Like I've seen and had bikini, competitors as pros I've coached who I think look outstanding, but then in a fucking group of 30 girls, they don't get looked at. And it's like, for them, it's like, fuck, what do I got to do? Like,
I have this conversation with people all the time, and it's like, oh yeah, but it's rigged. It's this and that. It's like, it's not rigged, man. It's like, there's an element of, like we're all human, including judges. So if you have a lineup of 20, 30 people on stage and like you have judged certain people within this lineup before, or even someone, they're your friend. You could be the most unbiased person in the world. Who are you going to look for on that stage first? It's just
your eyes are drawn
nature,
to it. You know what I mean? You can't help it.
Exactly. You're going to look for the people that I know that guy, I know that guy, I know that guy, or that girl, whatever. And then by that stage, we've already done 2 turns, man. So
if you're a bikini girl, it's like you've done 1 turn and that's all you got.
That's it, exactly. So, like, did you get overlooked? Yeah. But was it on purpose? Yeah. Fuck no. It's just, it is what it is, man.
I'm pretty cool with Classic if you want to move on to the Arnold's. I mean, Arnold's Brazil. But look, obviously, Arnold's Brazil, we will do obviously a full episode on the Arnold's Brazil with some predictions as well. But just to touch on there, like that's obviously going to be a huge show. We've got Raf going over there to do that, who's probably equal favourite with Tonio Burton. And the reason I say Tonio is because Tonio on paper has the highest Olympia placing. Finished 8th in a pretty stacked Olympia as well. So no mean feat. I competed against Tonio in New York. He won that show. He came second to Ross Flanagan in the California. I thought he won the California. I thought they, maybe just gave Ross a win because Tony won the week before. It's a qualification. Anyway, I thought Tony won both shows. He's a guy where it's like, you just stand next to him in a t-shirt. You're kind of like, oh yeah, looks all right. But then like when he poses, he comes alive. Like, just the roundness and the pop it's world class. It's something that's really hard not to look at when they're on stage. Like you're standing next to him on stage, you're trying to look at him because you can just feel that pop come through. You know what I mean? It's one of those bodies you want to look at, which is hard.
Man, even like I've never seen him in the flesh, but even just looking at some of his recent updates on Instagram, I'm just like, fuck, what is that, man? Like
the back's crazy. And look, obviously Raf's got that bad. Raf's got a really clean look to him also. But
I think Raf just brings a different look altogether, man. Like it's just, as you said, like clean's the best way to put it. Like it's just so proportionate. It's just, man, it's just beautiful to look at. So, and he was just so full at the Arnold's as well, man. Like it was just such a cool
absolutely
look.
Tune, call the cat.
Yeah, I could.
my cat's bothering me. Get in the way. Yeah, I thought it was super cool. But one thing that's really cool is the you gotta show him because now with the whole viewers heard of him become this is Marvy. That's the cat. He's the Devon Rex, Marvy, and he helps me do my work. So when he sees the keyboard out, he wants to come and have a play. Yeah, go with mum. Go on. All right, sorry, man. Yeah, I mentioned him, so you got to see him now. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, it's not an imaginary cat. I think one thing that's really cool with obviously Tony and Raf, obviously great battle there. But you got Carlos Thomas Jr., who's down for the show as well, who, again, talk about roundness, is so fucking round, so 3D and freaky that, it's hard to look past. When he, at his debut, he just looks incredible and hard to look away from. And then there's Good Vito. And Good Vito, that's his debut. And he just looks like he's gotten better and better. I mean, he's young, so he's going to improve, but it's like,
how old is he?
He's only 26, something like that, 27. So it's like he's gone from looking like a guy who's got a good physique, but can't really pose and whatever else, to looking like a professional bodybuilder. You know what I mean? So I think that you're 4 guys there who on the day could go anyway. Like you just don't know who's going to show up. And that's a crazy thing with bodybuilding is these freaks coming from it, whether it be another federation like the IFBB Elite or on whatever else. It's like it's really at the stage where anyone on their day could, steal the show.
That's right, yeah.
So, but we will do a full episode on the Arnold Brazil as well. That's for sure. One thing that's really cool for us in Australia is it is bodybuilding season A. So we are lucky enough to be a week and a bit away from the first qualifying show, which is New South Wales.
I was about to say that New South Wales is
and then obviously 5 weeks from our Amateur Grand Prix Pro qualifier, which is 6. So in Australia, we have, if you're watching overseas, we have 2 chances a year to get a pro card. There's the Amateur Grand Prix Pro qualifier, and then there's the Nationals, which is the end of the year, our season C now over here. So we have a mid-year season, which is season B. It's not a pro qualifier, just some regional shows. More active.
There'll be no national show there.
Just three regional shows, and they'll do something and give.
Sorry, I've been around, man. I've broken the chair.
Too big, mate. Too big for classic. But so season B, no pro qualifiers there, but just some like aimed at first timers and people who want to get their feet wet in the sport on maybe a slightly smaller stage. But season A obviously is huge, and that's a season that we missed out on the most with COVID. So it was really cool to have that come back. Obviously, it was our Arnold's before COVID as well. So we had the Arnold's Australia Amateur, and the pro qualifier was given the Arnold's. So we've lost the Arnold's because of COVID, and obviously how much money was lost in the whole process there. But we have our pro qualifier back, which is super sick, and I won it last year, which is awesome. So hopefully I'll be up there giving some sort of a pro card out this year. And we've had some. We want to do some previews for the. I put up a post on the Instagram the other day, and Alex did as well, asking about front runners, who's competing, whatever else. And sorry for the little shift in scenery and in clothes. We had technical difficulties. We basically filmed a full episode and fully previewed season A, and then we had some technical difficulties on our first ever podcast. So we're learning as we go. But essentially what we want to do now, Alex, is move across to Australian bodybuilding, because it is bodybuilding season in Australia. We have some amateur, obviously the Amateur Grand Prix, which is our pro qualifier for season A coming up for the IFBB Pro League. Run by Tony Doherty and the crew in Australia. And look, it's obviously an exciting time. I know that, we obviously go to as many shows as we can, obviously Undefeated, which is a sort of my brand and my coaching, and the new gym. We do sponsor the shows, so we make it able to get out to every show. It's always good to see the fans. Obviously gives us a chance to catch up, when we catch up when we're there as well. So it's all in all, I love bodybuilding season, because it's just like when you live and breathe it like we do. And it's good to see. We both coach people as well, so it's good to see our athletes get in shape and get ready for shows. And I think I get a lot of satisfaction. I find that I get more and more satisfaction from seeing my guys do well, almost as much as what I get from when I'm competing. So it's really rewarding to I suppose go through that with them and see them change as well. Next up, we have New South Wales, which is next weekend. That's to kick things off. And we want to do a little preview for we're going to do the men's show at the moment, and we'll do women's later on. And look, we put out some questions on Instagram. We asked people to nominate who's competing, who's a front runner, who are people excited to see. But obviously we're not going to get everyone. So if you don't get mentioned, don't get butt hurt. Should have replied to Alex's story like he said, but we're going to mention as many people as we can, and I suppose just look at people who we are excited to see and people who replied to the story, and just give an update of where their physiques is at. Obviously, disclaimer, you guys are all about to jump on stage and be judged. So, we're going to look at your physiques. We're not going to be, super critical at all, but we're going to have a look at the physique and see, what we think. So, obviously, be as constructive as possible, but, it's this is bodybuilding. It's an opinion base. So again, disclaimer, if you get butt hurt easily, maybe don't tune in. We'll go from there. But Alex, you obviously, we both train at gyms. You train out of Sam's gym sometimes, and Ashmore. And shout out to Sam and Ashmore. Obviously, Sam does a great job up there with the gym and his clients. Sam Pearce, our IFBB Pro as well. Have you seen anyone or heard anyone on the radar who you're excited to see for season A, or that is competing?
Yeah, man. I think this season is shaping up to be a pretty big one, especially in the super heavyweights. That's probably the one that I'm most excited to see. I don't think it's any real secret that we're going to see Josh Andrews back up on stage again now. I believe that it was kind of a last minute contest prep for them. For him and what's his coach's name? I can't think of.
Unholy Gains on Instagram.
That's right.
Yeah.
So as far as I was aware, he wasn't doing the show up until that most recent posing clinic here on the Gold Coast. And I think he just went down to sort of practice his posing and sort of got a bit of a hint that, I'm probably not too far off the mark here. I could probably still jump into this lineup. So I understand he's still competing in the photos and footage that I've seen of him. It's pretty fucking impressive, man. I mean, it was impressive last year.
So legit, that would be just like an 8-10 week prep max type thing.
I'd say max, yeah.
Maybe less. Well, look, obviously it's kudos for staying in shape. It's always good because you can decide, fairly late to do shows. You don't have to plan 6 months in advance like most people.
Mm-hmm.
If you do stay in shape and live the lifestyle that we do. I said, look, with Josh as well, I was super impressed with, I think everyone forgets because we've seen Josh on Instagram
for so long,
for a few years now.
Yeah.
Obviously, growing and looking impressive. I remember when I lived in Queensland, we both trained at Ashmore and I'd see him and wonder, first of all, his car, I was like, what the fuck? And but I'd wonder why I'd never seen him on stage before. Why haven't I seen this guy compete? So obviously it's the right time for him now. He's still young, obviously, as well. But I definitely like the fact that I think Josh could do whatever he wants to do with bodybuilding. Like he's got a great structure for it. He seems to be really round and pop and be pretty bubbly in 3D, which is a nice look. And he brings he's competing in bodybuilding, so he does bring a bit of a classic look to the bodybuilding stage, which again I think it's a nice thing to look at. I thought his last competition, it was impressive to see. His condition could have been much better. I thought that Matt, and I sort of brought up the Pro League here. I thought that Matt sort of did a really well. Matt was just probably a bit unbeatable in the end at that show. I
think Matty was just he's a seasoned veteran. You know what I mean? Like he's been competing for a long period of time. He understood the level of conditioning that was required to be bought. And I think he was just too big, too overpowering, too conditioned for somebody that's realistically only just dipping their toes into competing. I mean, I think Josh had a couple of attempts at getting on stage, and I think personal life sort of got in the road, and unfortunately,
I would have liked him to see. Obviously, look, we don't know the reasons why people don't back it up for nationals. I would have liked to see what he could have done between Queensland and nationals. Obviously another few weeks for condition or whatever else. For whatever reason, it wasn't the right time for him, and obviously, we respect that. But I think that I would have liked to see him, obviously, back it up and really put in, because it's like a lot can happen in those last few weeks, especially after you compete once. You sort of get a bit of enthusiasm. He got a great result. He still won some shows.
Second win and an opportunity to sort of put the foot back down. And yourself, man, this is like, even if it is only a couple of weeks, often a couple of weeks with a new level of enthusiasm, there's a lot you can do in those extra couple of weeks.
Absolutely. We were lucky enough to get Josh's coach to send through some photos. So I'm going to share my screen now, and hopefully I'm just going to share my entire screen here. Let me know if you can see that as well.
Yeah, I got you.
Good there. Okay, so just going to the some pictures here. So this is, look, he might have shared some of these as well on social media, but it's just a look at sort of Josh, and I mean it's what we expect: round, bubbly, great legs, great calves, motherfucker. But all around super impressive. I think it's a little video of him posing. Look, I was surprised that Matty was looked so much bigger than him on stage, because I think Josh, when he puts a photo up by himself, he just looks impressive.
Yeah.
But I think Matt did really. Matt was probably just way too big in the end for him at that show. But look, he would have got a little bit of a rebound, obviously, and he'll be coming in a bit sharper. Obviously, second time competing, so a bit fresher as well. A bit sharper. Probably obviously now he's knows what to expect from that dieting phase, so that should go a long way to I suppose a better experience for himself, knowing what to expect. Each time dieting doesn't get easier, but you know what to expect along the way. I think you'll probably agree with that as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So excited to see Joshy, but I think the other super heavy I know is competing.
Yeah, definitely be David. Will be the next biggest thing.
Is David here? I think that obviously David, look, I competed against him and a couple of years ago, and he got the win over me. So I always told David he needs to get the pro card so we can have round 2 somewhere across the world and have it out again. But look, obviously, I know David comes from a powerlifting background, and it's pretty evident when you look at his physique, like a lot of muscle, packed into that frame.
Zoom in on that photo there, man.
Yeah, he sent me these photos.
Zoom on that,
nothing from the front.
Yeah, look at those traps, man.
Yeah, the mid trapped and just the size is great. He's got these lower lats which pop down nice and low as well. So obviously there's some fat to come off here. This is probably maybe from a couple of weeks ago, but I love it when super heavies come in with peeled glutes, because for me to be that size and come with peeled glutes, it's the epitome of bodybuilding, I think.
Yeah.
To be sort of have that size and be able to get yourself down to the it's something I pride myself on. I don't like to step on stage unless I can visibly see my glutes in every rear shot. So, David obviously needs to work hard and get these in because he has the size. Obviously, like I said, if he brings glutes in, he's going to be pretty conditioned. So, it's hard to beat from that size perspective. Look at the shots
I think from the
Thailand here.
I think from the back is where the battle is going to be had with him and Josh. I assume we're talking just over like the entire country at the moment, man. Like, we're just going to talk nationals.
Yeah.
So I think like from an overall perspective, and like in the super heavyweights, especially, obviously, the war is going to be between him and Josh from the rear. But I also wouldn't be counting out who have we got?
Brian Defina.
Yeah, Brian, and also Anthony as well.
Absolutely. So we've got Brian Defina. Brian was from New South Wales. He also competed against myself and David back in 2022. So David got first, I was second, and Brian came in third at Nationals that year. I haven't seen too much of him since then, since that this is when we competed here, if you can sort of see. And look, he looked really clean on stage there. Nice lines through his legs. Obviously needs some more muscle, but that comes with time. I also know that Brian went through a fairly large weight loss phase before he started bodybuilding, because we've also had discussions around loose skin on stomach and things we've done to try and rectify that from an aesthetics point of view. So shout out to him for his journey, obviously. You don't know what people go through to get to where they are. Obviously, we just see the end result on stage. This is from 2022, so this is an old video that we're looking at here now. It's so it doesn't give us too much information at all. But he does have a decent back. I think backs is one of his strong points. And if he brings the same level of conditioning as what he did to at least back in 2022, he'll be definitely a force to be reckoned with. His stories, he hasn't put up anything, no physique updates. So unfortunately, no physique updates from himself. Then, as you said, obviously we've got Anthony, and I messaged Anthony and sort of asked him for some updates, and he was pretty tight on the updates type thing. But Anthony's good because he does post a lot anyway. Yeah. He's not afraid to share his physique. And if we look here, his glutes look like they're coming through at the bottom there. He always be conditioned because he doesn't.
I think conditioning for Anthony, like if anybody's off, like any of the guys that out muscle him are off, then he'll just end up destroying him from a condition perspective. So as I said, I definitely wouldn't sleep on Anthony. Fuck man, he's got some impressive wheels himself.
I think that if he was 3 inches smaller, it'd be almost game over for everyone. You know what I mean? Because there's so much muscle on the frame. here we can see him with Mel. That's his partner. I think she's competing in wellness, and she looks great. So obviously,
Yeah.
it's good to see them prepping together. And obviously, it's never easy as a couple to prep together because Moody and whatever else. But these guys show that it can be done, and they seem to have a good time doing it. So it's refreshing to see, that's for sure. But look, I can't wait to see him. Obviously, see what improvements he's brought. And like you said, I think that no doubt about it, if these guys are off in any sense of the word, he'll expose them. From a condition standpoint. So that's it's really, really it's exciting. I think that the super heavies will be probably under 90s and under 100s, they're always stacked. We always get some freaks come through and some new bodies, if that makes sense, come through in those divisions. But I think the super heavies are lining up to be probably the one to watch.
For sure, yeah.
Purely because there seems to be a good level of maturity in those athletes, and they're all competed before. So this is another, they're all more mature, if that makes sense, rather than a first timer coming through. So
absolutely,
really pumped to see them. If you had to pick a number one, who do you pick? They're all in shape. Who do you pick?
That's a hard one, man. I think David is just going to be too big for everyone. That's my gut shot. And I know Timmy will do a good job with him from a condition perspective, provided he can bring the level of conditioning that's required. I think for me, he's my front runner. But I think Joshy Andrews could really mix it as well, provided he's sharp. And I think he will be sharper this time. But man, as I said, I think it's going to be a fucking stacked lineup. What do you reckon?
I think that I think that it's so difficult because they're so different physiques. Like from Anthony to David to Josh, it's three different physiques.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's like there's you got the muscle of David, obviously you got the muscle and the height of Anthony, which can be powering on stage because he poses big. Then you got that flow and the shape of Josh. So I think who can win? I think if David brings condition, like peeled condition, he'll be hard to beat. I would probably I'd prefer to look like Josh if I was to choose my ideal physique. But I mean, it's this is bodybuilding, so it can go either way. And in saying that, obviously Anthony just brings that condition every time, and that's something I really respect is that hard work, that like mountain dog style work ethic. Do you know what I mean?
Bro, my honest opinion, if Anthony brought his arms up, he'd be very, very impressive. I mean, he's 100%. Impressive now, but he'd be dangerous. With bigger arms, he'd be dangerous.
Bigger arms, 3 inches shorter. But in saying that, he's still going to leave his mark, that's for sure. I wanted to mention another guy, if we can move on, just Cooper Alush, who's been messaged through quite a number of times. So he's a pretty popular 19-year-old. This guy competed last year with myself. He won WA juniors, he won national juniors, he won New South Wales juniors. So he competed all over the shop, which is, I commend him for that. Obviously, not afraid to get out there and test himself. He's 19 years old.
He's now?
He's 19. Yeah. He was 18 last year at these shots, which is super impressive for 18. Look, he's got a great physique. If I look like this at 19, I think I'd probably would have started my pro career a lot earlier than what I did. But so this guy, he's a winner in all sense of the word, and he's got a huge career ahead of him. One thing, obviously, and this is like I said, we're going to put your photos up here, and I hope when it comes time to the contest, which is only a week away, he's got a slight puffiness around the nipple. It's like this. It's not full gyno, but it's just like it looks, or it makes you think about gyno, if that makes sense. So, and he's got a great coach, Stan from Body Beyond, so he obviously knows his hormones and whatever else as well. But if you see up close, it just has a slight raise above that, around the nipple. Do you know what I mean? And so I just hope they fix it up by show day, because I'd hate because judges look at that, and I'd hate for the judges to look at that and obviously, take away from what is a very impressive physique. But look, all in all, like I said, I think he's a great poser as well. He was going to do a backflip on stage or something. So, but I think the rules are that you have to have if one foot on the stage at all times. So I think he wrapped that up pretty quickly there and didn't go through with it. Of the guys to go through here, some guys who did send through photos, which again I appreciate as well, is one of Dean's guys here, which is Dervish. So obviously, look, this just screams to me signature Dean condition, flex success conditioning, already peeled, and this is probably weeks out. The signs in the glutes here coming through, good detail on the back, little to no fat in this lower back area. But it's what we expect from Dean by now. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Condition is, unfortunately, we hold Dean to a certain level of standard with condition now. So if somebody comes off, what's going on?
It's his own worst enemy. He's crowd doll for himself. This is Mitch Clark, who I know Dean is really excited to see on stage. Super conditioned for where he is as well. I think this is his first time competing as well, so this is his debut and it looks great. Nice little bubbly sleeve to his quads. Nice and tight midsection. I think in this ab shot here, if you can see it, if he turned his hips to the side a touch more, just on a 45 degree, and maybe stuck the non-tattooed leg out, he would just create a bit more shape through that pose. From the side here, I think that he looks great. Great detail in his chest. Just needs to rotate a touch more through this side chest pose as well, just to create a bit more width up top while keeping his legs super squared like they are. Yeah, and maybe a touch taller through that one there. Look, he's creating some nice hamstring. But look, that's Mitch Clark, so shout out to him. He definitely he also messaged through as well, so we do appreciate that. And thank you to Dean, one of Dean's other guys. Excuse me. Is this dude who I saw compete back in when did he compete last? He would have competed.
Are we talking about Callum? Sorry,
who? He would have competed back in. He sent me these photos through. Give me a second here. I can just too many messages on my Instagram, brother. So this one comes through here. Cameron Witters, Cam. So yeah, man, I'm not sure why. From South Australia. So he's doing bodybuilding, and it's someone like Cam, to be honest, who's going to bring amazing conditioning, has crazy glutes from the side, if I remember correctly, from when he competed last. Like you can see the maturity to his glutes there and the tying down to the hamstring.
Is he not doing classic?
No, he's doing bodybuilding.
Ah, okay. I thought he was doing classic. Man, the detail in his hamstrings is cool, eh?
Well, look, he's got bodybuilding trunks on, but actually, I'm looking at the messages and he says classic as well. So
yeah,
okay,
yeah, I'm sure
classic it is. Maybe he'll do both. It'll surprise us. Who knows? He looks like he could. Do you know what I mean? He looks like he's going to bring some darling conditioning. I thought the last time I saw him, I thought that he competed in classic, but I thought he should have done bodybuilding.
Yeah.
But he's actually brought some nicer lines to his physique, obviously with the time off. That was 2 years ago, I'm pretty sure. So he is classic. I was going to say, it's someone like him, though, in my opinion, who could almost come in and do a bodybuilding show and just surprise everyone and just really push those big, heavy guys with his shape and his condition. A bit like the guy from ACT, I think it's Dave, who beat Mike Pearson a few years ago. Dave came through obviously and convincingly, I thought, beat Mike Pearson, who was 40 kilos heavier than him 30 kilos heavier on the stage. Or a bit like even Cam, his other client, Cam George, who he beat David at the overall when they competed last, and he had 40 kilos on him. So these young, it's these smaller guys who can come through and really surprise us all. I think because they do come in, they bring such a pretty and complete package. John Haas was one last year who I thought really pushed Matty
Yeah,
O'Reilly.
John was very impressive, man.
Yeah,
John
and
was
like
very
so,
impressive.
like something like that who like you can't stop looking at almost when they're on stage because they just look so damn impressive. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you never know, obviously, what to. And look, that's the great thing with bodybuilding, isn't it? That it's on stage. It's how they look, not necessarily obviously what they weigh and whatever else type thing.
Yes,
So
yes, it's the illusion.
illusion for sure.
And
One other one here.
sometimes some of those
Go on.
smaller guys can just come in that little bit sharper, and with the if they've got that nicer shape and they're conditioned off their head, they often don't look smaller than what they don't proportionally they don't look that much smaller.
100%. I was listening to a podcast today about with Milos and Jay, and they were saying about like when Hardy's on stage next to Samson, obviously he looks as big, as wide, but he's 30, 40, 50 pounds lighter than him. So it's the illusion you create on stage. Just moving on quickly, brother. This Jackson Gruen, I think this is his surname, Jackson Gruen. Chungus on Instagram. I think this is actually the first time he's going to get up there. I know he's done a couple of preps prior, and he's doing classic.
So
But
he
this
looks good, man.
Yeah, this is the first time he's actually going to hop on the stage, though. So, look, this guy in person, he's tall, so he has a impressive frame, if that makes sense. Like when you're standing near him, like he takes up a lot of space.
Yeah.
I know on stage, like he can pull a great vacuum like this. I saw him at the Vic posing clinic only a couple of weeks ago, and he looked super conditioned, super ready. And to be honest, he's just seems to be really enjoying the process. So if he can actually translate the stage, like if you imagine that physique up against that physique, that's a good battle. That's gonna be a really.
If we're gonna jump straight into classic now as well, I think we've got Jordan Dashi as well, which all three of those guys, very very similar structure, I suppose. All tall guys.
So Jordan Dashi is obviously someone who, look, he looks like a cartoon character superhero. That's the sort of the frame that he has. I thought that obviously when he competed last season, he was super close. I think that he probably, in my opinion, got a little bit. Thought he had it in the bag. Obviously, he beat Tom at the WA show, and he came in, and he wasn't off, but he just, it wasn't. He didn't have that fighting instinct in him. And I think Tom just looked fantastic on the day. Almost unbeatable package that Tom bought. So super unlucky. Went to Japan. I thought he overdieted it in Japan. It's just my honest opinion from what I saw on the pictures and the stream. But I've seen this.
I don't think he needed to come in sharper in Japan. I think that's the look that they went for, was just to suck him down further. But I think, if anything, they probably could have filled him out more.
Yeah, I mean, don't you wonder, though, if he came in fully blown, filled out on a bodybuilding stage, how it would look?
Well, man, I think I might have said this to you once before. I actually had a conversation with him, and I don't know how well it was received, but
he's convinced he's classic. Like he's convinced that he's classic.
Yeah, and I think he's sort of his own worst enemy, because I think if he just took the time and put on the required amount of tissue so that he could just, as far as I'm aware, he's actually got room to move in his weight cap in classic as well. So I don't know why he doesn't just take a proper season off and focus on adding some more tissue to the point where he's just absolutely undeniable. But I wouldn't be limiting myself to classic for him. I would probably do opens as well. And I mean,
why wouldn't you do it both as an amateur? Like, if you can, I would. If I fit into the weight cap, I'll do it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not quite sure, man. But to be honest, I'd love to see him with some more tissue on him, and I'd love to see him in an open lineup as well, because just the more classic lines that he has got, I think he would probably expose a lot of guys that have got more weight on him as well.
Yeah, I think that it's like with Josh Andrews, like he's got like this classic look, but he brings it to an open bodybuilding stage. I think it's a cool sort of like hybrid, if that makes sense. Guys got
personally, I think there's talk of Josh, if he ever turned pro, that he would suck back down to classic. But same thing, I think.
Yeah, I've heard that from his coach.
I've heard that from his coach as well. I don't think he'd be doing himself a justice by doing that. But again, like I totally understand why it is a potential option for a lot of these guys. I mean, not everybody wants to be walking around 130 kilos in the off season, you know. You know what that's like, 140 kilos. Well, I know what 130 is like. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's definitely uncomfortable. So, but look, obviously, no matter what Jordan does, he'll be pushing for first, for second. He'll be up in the top 3, that's for sure, because he's just got that body that just demands to be looked at, if that makes sense. So, you throw him in the mix, and
he poses that way too. You know, like he does pose quite nicely.
Definitely, 100%. We also have in the classic Kane Douglas Sene, who is competing, and I think, look, I like his physique.
He is definitely doing classic.
Definitely doing classic.
Man, I remember seeing him years ago and thinking, fuck, he's got a cool physique.
Yeah, just a really nice, like old school physique almost. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's the way he poses. I think he just poses a bit. He just poses almost with a bit of swag, you know, like. But
yes, he does.
He's nice and round, and he's nice and complete.
He's got nice features. Do you know what I mean? Which, I think it looks good on the classic stage. I know this guy's a full-time PE teacher. He's a family man as well, so he's balancing it all. Bodybuilding has been his hobby for a long time. I've seen this guy come in super peeled. I've seen him come in super full, like a water buffalo, just trying different pigs out. I'm pretty sure he coaches himself. Or he works with, I think, it says Team Legacy Coaching. I was sure that he coached himself, from what I understood. So again, I might be, still to be incorrect there. Apologies if I'm offending any coach of Kane's. But that's just what I thought. Regardless, you throw him in the mix. If he comes in peeled, he'll be my force to be reckoned with as well, because he's got a real nice classic physique.
Yeah.
And it's a mature muscle as well.
Yeah.
Like, obviously he's not a mass monster, but he's got a mature muscle, which is a nice look.
Hey, imagine him being your fucking PE teacher.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That's for sure. We got here someone else who sent the details in was Shane Mayer. Shaney, I know he's a PT out at World Gym in Moore Park, Sydney. This is his first comp. I think this is obviously a bit of progress for him. So, look, he says this come out February 2nd, 2 days out from photo shoot, and building on this in 2000. Well, this is from 2022. So, okay, this is an old post, but this is Shane. I know that this guy is training the house down for this comp. I saw him a few weeks ago in Sydney. I think he's working with Charlie Duca, or maybe it's just for the posing.
What class is he in?
I think he's just doing bodybuilding or classic. Sorry, I'm not too sure, but definitely bodybuilding or classic, not physique. But first comp, super nice guy. So I know that regardless, when he jumps on stage, he'll be bringing a lot of fun to the stage. So I'm pumped to see him, and thanks for replying to the to my story, brother. Get your rig out more on Instagram so we can give you a proper rate. But anyway, we'll see him next weekend up in New South Wales. I'm just touching that, guys. If you are watching, if you haven't got tickets to any of the shows, or you're thinking about coming down, definitely make an effort to come down. It's these bodybuilding shows. Last season, the best thing about it was they were packed in the stadiums. Like we had. The audience was just sold out for most events. We had record numbers of competitors through, and they're just getting bigger and better. And more spectators means more sponsors, better shows, more athletes through, and the sport of bodybuilding will continue to grow in Australia. So, like I said, I'll be there. So if you haven't got tickets, definitely make sure you pick some up, get down and see it live in person, because there's nothing like it when you're actually there and get to see people up front and up close and personal. Just moving on to Francois here. Francois is he messaged through on the Instagram. Francois competed a couple of years ago on the IFBB. This is what he put on stage then. So brought some great condition. Tall guy, wide shoulders, good separation through the quads. Always works really, really, really hard. I think he's working with Alex Stevenson this time, not with myself. He likes to really.
He worked with you at one point, yeah.
Yeah, he worked with me at one point for that last show. Then obviously working out of the gym. I think he just chose to work with Alex because he was sort of close by, which again, it's great. Try different things. I know he takes it seriously, so there's no doubt at all that we're going to see a conditioned Francois up there, Frenchie living in Australia. This is him at 8 weeks out. So, looks obviously it's from the front, but he's got some nice swoop to his quads. Has a bit of that Anthony Caleros height to him, so needs to fill out the frame, but condition's always going to be great from Francois. So, shout out to Francois. Another person who responded, it was, I think, Kyle Giniotis, who I think is physique. Is that right, Alex?
Yeah, men's physique.
Have you seen this guy compete before?
I haven't seen him in person, man. I'm spewing. I was supposed to. He's also a sponsored athlete by Promobolics like myself. We were supposed to do a catch up, like a bit of a real quick shoot, but I think he got tied up with work, so I actually never got an opportunity to see him in person. But man, I've seen some of the photos and some of his story updates, and fuck, dude, he almost looks classic. Like some of the shots, he's hit a few bodybuilding shots or a few classic physique shots, and I'm like, man, that's impressive. Hey, he's definitely conditioned. He's another one of Tim's boys, isn't he?
He might be, yes. And look at this photo here. Like, even though he's wearing shorts, so he's covering his legs, but like, he screams physique for me. Like great shoulders, great arms, big chest, and then washboard abs, like and that to me just is all about what physique's all about. Like just bringing that absolute beach body to the stage. And this is him going through some poses here on video. I think obviously training out of Sam's gym.
Yeah, I don't know whether he's there full time. I think a few of the boys train there a couple of days a week. I'm not sure where else he trains, but yeah,
his waist has disappeared, bro. Look at this.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think he's going to be very, very hard to beat. I think physique's actually going to be really interesting this year. You've got someone else competing. I think he's done a number of shows before. Oh, he's like an Albanian guy down in Victoria. I forget his name.
I don't know. That's your neck of the woods, brother.
Yeah, sorry, the name's gone from me. He didn't reply to my story either, so I'm not sure. But he jumps on. He always looks fantastic. And then you have the other one, who's I think he's oh man, it's gonna be it's terrible that I've forgotten. But I know they both competed before at the Victorian show, and they battled they did 5-6 call-outs with them, and they're both competing again this year. So the Victorian physique show will be will be stacked, that's for sure, because these guys are both bringing their best again. I know for sure. One other guy who did reply was Chris Martin. This is Chris. Chris replied to me, and I think he trains up near your neck of the woods, Alex.
Yeah.
And he said he's bringing the heat for his debut.
Yeah, man, I'd never met him before. I just bumped into him one day up at Iron Asylum as well. And man, he's for his first show, he's fucking conditioned. Like he's very, very lean. I'm not sure. I don't know whether he's one of Sam's clients, but man,
it says team AP 212.
Oh yeah, Aaron, must be one of Aaron's. There you go. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And shout out to Aaron, our IFBB Pro, getting ready for the New York Classic or New York Pro Show. I think it's 4 years since he last competed, and obviously we all know that when he last competed, he qualified for the Olympia.
And competed in the Olympia.
Yeah, competed in Olympia and top 10.
Yeah.
So yeah, big shout out to Aaron, obviously, and Chris. Good luck for the shows, both of you guys. And Aaron, look, obviously flying a flag for Australia overseas. It's great to see.
He's actually training back at he's back at Ashmore at the moment, man.
Okay, nice.
I'll see him most
Look,
days.
he's got that physique where there's no real weak points on him. Do you know what I mean? He's sort of got everything there, which it looks great and translates to his division being 2-on-2. And I think that he'll be difficult to handle for anyone over there. So shout out to Aaron. Another guy here, Jude Canizaro, one of our last ones. We'll wrap this up soon, brother. This guy responded to us and said, respond to my story, sorry. This is him 7.5 weeks out, so obviously looks like he's got some good condition going on. Obviously, one of his probably younger competitor, first or second show. In this pose here, can you see that, Alex? I wish that they would really blow these abs out more in this shot because and rotate. Look, let me tell you, the side tricep, guys, is as much an ab shot as it is a tricep shot. Like, you need to make sure that your abs are blown out, your oblique is tight, and there is no movement of breath. You take a breath in, you turn, you pose. If you need to take a breath, you turn to the back, take a breath, and then turn back around. Like, I don't understand people who don't have waist issues make it look like they have waist issues, if that makes sense, in those poses. But look, that's obviously not a knock on your physique, Jude. It just makes sure that when you are in that pose, blow it out. You know what I mean?
Evidently, he's got good stomach control because he can hit a vacuum.
100%. Obviously doing some posing here with Paulie Vu, one of our other pros, and Paulie's known for his posing, so he's in good hands there. But it looks great, obviously conditioned. Excited to see what he brings. Looks like he trains down he's all over here, but it looks like Victoria mostly. So we'll see Jude on the Victorian stage soon. I had a late entry here from Dean McKillop. Who's that guy? Is he doing a show? Apparently he's coming back to do under 80s.
I don't know about that. I think he'd get shot if he did that.
Look, he probably could.
He could get back on stage, no worries. He'd probably do a 2-week fucking diet and end up taking the show out. I don't know. I still don't think he'd be under 80s.
No, I'm not sure there, but look, obviously Dean just have some fun there. Dean's too busy with all his clients winning all the shows. It'd be unfair for him come in and steal the show himself. But look, brother, I think that's probably most of the guys that I had come through. All in all, a big season. You know what I mean? A lot of good rigs to look forward to on there, and we know that we're going to get some surprise packets along the way as well, which it always happens every season. Yeah. There's going to be someone competing in bumfuck, Farmville, like the guy from last season came down from Darwin and did a show and won New South Wales and really pushed the nationals. We had Josh Wilson who sort of came out of nowhere last year as well. So there's always going to be some surprise packets along the way. Personally, I'm pumped because I love bodybuilding and I love the season. So as I said before, we'll be at the shows. We actually we're going to do something where we give a little prize pack away to the winners of each show, and we're going to come down to the booth after they get off stage, collect the prize pack, and we'll do a little candid interview with them straight off stage, how they're feeling. So if you win your division in any of the comps coming up, please come and see the Undefeated booth, and we'll get you on the IFBB Pro CAST chat for a quick post-stage interview. And one thing that would be cool, Alex, I'm not sure, we'll try and line it up that if we're both in a state and we have a winner come through, and we might try and do like a training session with them afterwards, do like an interview style with them as well. So we'll try and do some cool candor stuff like that for you guys as well, and show you a bit more about the competitors and obviously a bit of an insight as to we'll get to know them a bit better as well. You know what I mean? Like it'd be cool to if someone wins a bodybuilding in, let's say, Queensland, the next day we'll get them down to Sam's gym and we'll do like a Q&A training questions seminar with him as well, type of thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Something really candid and, like I said, sort of bring something interesting to the YouTube. So watch out for that. Like I said, definitely make sure if you win a division, get over and see us at the booth, and we will look after you for sure. Anything else from yourself, Alex?
I think that's pretty well covers everything for this initial week.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter.
How many chocolate Easter eggs have you eaten?
Oh, mate, I've actually stared at a couple today in the shop. So believe it or not, I'm starting to get hungry again.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just started to get hungry again as well. Like it's just at that point now where it's like, oh yeah, I'm like looking forward to my next meal.
Yeah.
And it's super strange because obviously when we go from force feeding almost every meal to now feeling hungry again, it's a really nice feeling.
And it's funny, right? Like I don't know about you, but I couldn't give a fuck about chocolate 9 times out of 10. But I think I walked past a few. It's the crunchy chocolates for me, man. Crunchy.
Crunchy.
I haven't had one in like probably 20 years, but I saw them today and I was like, I remember when I was a kid and I used to eat those. Fuck, I could devour one of those right now.
I think that our mindset just switches when we take it as seriously as what we do to like just results over everything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It becomes more important than the temporary taste of a chocolate,
Yeah.
But I walk past the maybe the boost bars for me, and so I'm like, oh yeah, I do enjoy a boost on the occasion. It's funny. At the end of, not to take up too much time, but at the end of my last growth phase, just gone. Dean at the end was like, whatever else you can fit in, eat it. Like he's like, if you can fit in a boost bar, eat it. If you can fit in a hot cross bun, eat it. So I was like, oh, I'll take that. So I was having 2 hot cross buns with some butter and a boost bar extra a day. And it's funny how I think because it's food I do actually enjoy, I could eat those and they just sort of slid in without even really being noticed. Whereas if you put 1 more gram of rice on my fucking plate, like there's no chance it's going down.
Man, I don't know about you, but I get to the point where it's chicken for me, man. Or even just protein.
I don't eat chicken. I don't eat chicken.
Or you don't eat anymore.
Can't do it.
Man, I get to the point where I'm just like, I cannot fit any more protein in. Like, it's just, no matter whether it's the best cooked steak in the world, whether it's a salmon fillet, I'm just like, I don't want any more protein.
100%. I think that I heard Milos say, like, his guys started like 500 grams of protein a day. I'm like, how the fuck can you eat 500 grams of protein a day?
Yeah.
And like, he's not smashing shakes either. This is like, fucking food.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck me. And Brett, actually, the head judge goes to me, have you ever tried it? I was like, no. He's like, why don't you try it?
What's that? The 500 grams of
protein. Yeah. I'm like, it's interesting. There's so many ways obviously bodybuilding can work for so many, and obviously Milos is the coach to some of the greats of all time. So it's an interesting thought. I don't know how I'd go doing it, but I mean, I think if you did it and saw results, it'd get a lot easier to do.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think if you did it when you were still hungry, do you know what I mean? You know what it's like, man. You sort of condition yourself to the point where, like if you've been in a deficit for a long period of time, it's just like, I don't know what you're like with your vegetables and stuff like that, but I always spend, like, when I'm in a deficit, I'll build my vegetables up to a point where I'm like, okay, this is perfect. If I could keep this here during a surplus, then I know that my digestion is going to be excellent. And that's a big thing that over the last few years, that's a big thing that I've made sure is a staple during any growth phase, is I make sure that my veg stays as high as what it is during a deficit. But I think if you did this like same sort of thing with your protein, you built your protein up to a point that was, protein and veg, I suppose, to a point where you could digest it during a deficit, and then you slowly added carbohydrate back in and increase those calories. It's probably doable, But
very doable. Look, obviously, you progress over time, like as with anything as well. And if you saw results from doing that, you'd probably be more enthusiastic about doing it long term as well. I think that one thing is for sure, you'd have to be so on top with your like HCl, digestive enzymes, like just making sure to take care of your gut, having to put all that food away, all that meat away, if that makes sense. But it's interesting. I mean, I often think of obviously Dean's great at what he does. I have full trust in Dean, and we've gotten great results together. Same for yourself. But it's like you do think sometimes. I wonder what he's doing, I mean, and whatever else. But one thing's for sure, guys, I can guarantee it, and Alex backed me up. There's no secret.
No.
Most plans will work if you stick to the plan.
That's the key, right? Is just
there's no magic diet. There's no magic diet. There's no magic drug at all. It's just hard work in the gym, along with all the other stuff. So, all right, man, I'm gonna head off, see the fam, eat my final meal, and we'll catch up next week. And next week we'll review the women.
Yes.
Before the show as well. So hopefully we'll get that done before New South Wales. And obviously I'll put a post up. And if you know someone competing, please message away. And if any men who see this and want to get mentioned in the next one and message through, might have time to give you a shout out as well. So make sure you follow and keep up to date with Alex, with myself, and with the page. And thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you to Alex.
Thank you.
No worries at all, man. I'll see you soon, man. We're out.
See you, bro.